going to be okay. I promise. You can come out. There's nothing so peaceful as a cuddly friends picnic. I'll get there someday, but for now, baby steps, every pony. Baby steps.
Kind, caring, compassionate, and easygoing. If these words sound familiar, I bet it's because it sounds a lot like Fluttershy. And these qualities go a lot in line with the Enneagram Type 9. What's up, Goxays? Thanks for joining me on my first video of the Enneagram personality series for the MLP characters. In this video, I'll explain why I believe that Fluttershy is an Enneagram Type 9, and more specifically an Enneagram Type 9 Wing 1. Now, if you don't know a lot about the Enneagram personality system, I suggest you to check out this video linked in the card above if you want a brief explanation on what the Enneagram personality system is. Also, I'll provide time markers in the description below if you want to skip to different chapters within the video. Now, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and explain why Fluttershy is an Enneagram Type 9 Wing 1. Fluttershy is a very soft-spoken pony with a very gentle nature. We see this a lot as she takes care of her animals with a lot of love and care. And aside from that, she tends to take a very easygoing approach to life, like hosting tea parties with her animal friends at the animal sanctuary, or even hosting a picnic with her animal friends, or even something as simple as reading a book while she stays at her cottage, despite some other party or activity going on with her friends. She enjoys a calm, peaceful, and easygoing lifestyle because it gives her a peace of mind. This is exactly what Enneagram Type 9's like. They desire that peace of mind and internal peace. That's something that they really crave for. They generally are very caring, compassionate, and easygoing people, and they desire to live in peace within themselves and with others, thus why they're known as the Peacemakers. There are many moments we've seen with Fluttershy where she prefers to live in peace and create it wherever she goes. And while Type 9s strive to have a peaceful environment, they tend to fear any conflict that comes their way, because it disturbs their peace. Now, important distinction to make right here about how Type 9s face their fear of conflict determines whether a Type 9 Wing 1 or a Type 9 Wing 8. To explain the difference between 9 Wing 1s and 9 Wing 8s, I think it's important to note that Type 9s in general were given the wounding childhood message of you should not assert yourself. Now, how the 9 Wing 1 and the 9 Wing 8 can perceive that is different. The 9 Wing 8 is willing to challenge the wounding childhood message of you should not assert yourself. They'll actually be assertive and challenge that message. They are more willing to face their fears and any conflict that comes their way. And at the end of the day, it's so they can achieve that inner peace that they want by facing their fears head on. Now, meanwhile, 9 Wing 1s will take more of a passive approach to achieving inner peace. They're more willing to accept the wounding childhood message of you should not assert yourself and make the best of it. So yeah, they'll generally be a bit more shy and timid to really assert themselves or express themselves even, just so they can achieve that inner peace. Now, as you can see, both 9 Wing 1s and 9 Wing 8s have that core desire of the Type 9 of wanting inner peace. They just go about it in different ways. And I think it's safe to say that Fluttershy is a 9 Wing 1, since she tends to shy away from asserting herself or expressing herself or causing any sort of conflict in general. Not convinced? Well, we'll look at some examples of Fluttershy throughout the series to see why she is a 9 Wing 1.
Excuse me, I think you just stepped in front of me. Excuse me, I think you made a mistake. You see, I was actually here first and—
Sorry, didn't notice you there.
I know.
I'm sure we all know how Fluttershy has had trouble with asserting herself. And the one episode we know that can come to mind to us is the episode Putting Your Hoof Down. In the episode, Fluttershy was getting walked all over and being a bit of a doormat with her pony friends and as well as the different pony civilians in Ponyville and even her own animals. Like, did you see how Angel Bunny has treated her? Another instance of Fluttershy being afraid to assert herself is when she gave in to Applejack's demands whenever they were trying to figure out a solution to the vampire bats in Applejack's orchard. Another episode of Fluttershy not wanting to assert herself was from the episode Keep Calm and Flutter On, where there was a moment where Discord was spinning Fluttershy's home around and she just pretended like everything was fine, that it wasn't a big deal. Now, why is it that Fluttershy wasn't making a big deal of these things? Why is it that she wasn't asserting herself and getting her needs and wants met? Well, let's look at it from an Enneagram Type 9 Wing 1's perspective. When we look at a 9 Wing 1's perspective, they don't want to cause any sort of conflict. They just want to make peace with whatever the situation is. And in essence, they'll just sacrifice their own needs and wants to keep the peace because that's what they think is the easiest thing to do. Remember, the Enneagram Type 9 very much wants to have inner peace, and even if it means sacrificing their own needs and wants and not asserting themselves and causing conflict to make that happen, that's what their tendency is. So from that perspective, we can see why Fluttershy very much tries to just shy away from asserting herself.
Confidence or no confidence, I'm gonna need every Pegasus to break the record, including you. I need every ounce of wing power I can get.
Oh, I don't think so, Rainbow Dash.
We also see Fluttershy have challenges with expressing herself, where she often comes across as shy, hence her name, I guess. But the point is, we see this in many moments throughout the series. One episode where she shows this is in Hurricane Fluttershy. In the episode, she was afraid that she would embarrass herself for being a slow flyer in front of all the other Pegasi as they were helping to get the water up to Cloudsdale. Her fear was rooted back when she was a filly, how she couldn't even fly at flight camp up in Cloudsdale before. She didn't want to risk that kind of humiliation later on in life. Another example of Fluttershy feeling shy is from Philly Vanilli. She was afraid to sing out loud and express herself through her singing voice to the public ponies out there. She didn't want to embarrass herself, and she had a lot of performance anxiety that things would just go wrong. And yet one more example I can pull out as far as Fluttershy feeling shy in front of people is from the episode Dragon Shy. In that episode, she was very much not willing to help out her friends get the dragon out of the cave that Celestia had instructed them to do. She felt too afraid to really participate and really confront the dragon and tell him to leave. Now, from all these instances of Fluttershy showing how shy she is, why is that? Well, again, let's look at the perspective of the 9 Wing 1 and try to answer that. 9 Wing 1s tend to be shy because it goes back to them wanting to seek out internal peace within themselves. You could say that social situations can be hard for them, but it's mostly anything that causes them anxiety. And in Fluttershy's case, we can see that when it comes to asserting herself or when it comes to expressing herself even, how she fears embarrassment and that can cause a lot of anxiety for her. And so she'll just do everything she can to avoid it. Because at the end of the day, she wants to keep the peace, just like a 9 Wing 1 would. So between feeling anxious and feeling shy, what do these have in common? I think this is where we can also explain through the Enneagram Type 9 why this is a common problem with 9s and specifically 9 Wing 1s. When they're stressed, 9s tend to go toward an unhealthy 6 where they will be very anxious in whatever situation they're in. And when they get anxious, they'll just detach from their situation. They'll detach from reality even to the point where they go toward what's known as their deadly sin, which is sloth. You know what I mean. Being a sloth, you just want to be lazy. You don't want to engage with anything or whatever you're doing. You just want to get out of there. And that's exactly what Fluttershy tries to do too. And you also recall that in Dragon Shy, where Fluttershy just retreated when she didn't want to help out her friends. She was constantly encouraged to help them out to get the dragon out of there and confront him. But as we saw in that episode, she just didn't want to. She backed out. So we can see that it's just normal for Type 9s to do this. There's no shame in it, and yet I can understand why it feels shameful. But it is normal. don't be hard on yourself if this is you too.
How dare you? How dare you? Listen here, mister. Just because you're big doesn't mean you get to be a bully. You may have huge teeth and sharp scales and snore, smoke, and breathe fire, but you do not, I repeat, you do not hurt my friends!
Now, while type 9s can have that struggle of feeling shameful and anxious whenever they don't get others people's needs met or wants met or any objectives met that was put on them, while they can feel that way, they can get out of it. They can overcome those challenges of feeling shame or not being assertive or for being too shy. They can overcome that. Because believe it or not, while type 9s can go toward an unhealthy 6 where they get all anxious, they can go toward a 3 where they have the drive to achieve lifelong goals and be an achiever. And we've seen this switch happen with Fluttershy too. Remember in that Dragonshy episode where she felt too afraid to confront the dragon? Well, once she saw her friends get hurt from the dragon, then something flipped in her. Something switched in her to say to the dragon and confront him that this is wrong. You need to leave the cave. And she confronted him really well. And we saw that it actually worked. And from the other examples I brought up, like from Hurricane Fluttershy, she actually decided to forget about what the other ponies may think of her and forget about the embarrassment. She decided to forget all about all that and actually put her mind to helping the Pegasi get the water up to Cloudsdale. And she actually did it. Her last little bit of help there actually helped get the water up to Cloudsdale. And at the end of the day, all the Pegasi loved her for that. They were very happy to see her help out in their desperate time of need. We could say the same thing about her overcoming shyness in Philly Vanilli. She decided to actually sing in front of an audience, albeit it was a small audience. It was just her friends, her close friends, and her animal friends. But that was just a step in the right direction because she knew that she actually loved to sing in front of an audience as long as they weren't looking at her at first. But once she had the guts to actually take on that task, she made it part of her goal and she made it happen. And it felt amazing to finally get past that fear. Shall I keep going on? Look at putting her hoof down. Well, yes, she went too hard about being assertive. She figured at the end that she just has to give a simple no sometimes. At the end of that episode, when Iron Will was demanding for a payment from her, she gave a simple no because she was not satisfied with his workshop. And that's all it took. It didn't really take much more than that. And she realized that that's all she needed to do was just give a simple no. So you see, Fluttershy does have the capability to overcome these challenges. And likewise, type 9s do too. And you see when a type 9 is healthy and goes toward a 3, they're more willing to embrace that ambitious side of themselves and be more willing to assert themselves and feel more confident in themselves. And they allow their true personalities to actually shine in front of everyone. And that's what really matters at the end of the day, when we can really show who we are and be authentic in front of everyone. Not letting the fear of conflict get in our way, but just being our true selves in front of everyone, no matter what happens. That's what a type 9 can do when they put their mind to it. I'm sure we can all agree now that Fluttershy is a type 9 on the Enneagram, and specifically a type 9 wing 1. Through all the examples I've thrown out there, we've seen how it all ties together to how she is a Enneagram 9 wing 1. And I hope you see that too. And to really wrap it up here, I think it's important to note that the longing message of the Enneagram 9 is that your presence matters. Tell an Enneagram 9 that and they will light up. That's the message that they need to hear, is that their presence matters. And we can see that with Fluttershy. Between episodes like Philly Vanilli and Dragonshy and Hurricane Fluttershy, that her presence mattered. In Philly Vanilli, her attending to the audience and to her friends to express herself through her singing voice really mattered to them. In Dragon Shy, her being attentive to confront the dragon really mattered to her friends when they needed it most. And in Hurricane Fluttershy, her attending to help the Pegasi get the water up to Cloudsdale mattered to all of them. And especially in the Hurricane Fluttershy episode, we can see at the end of that episode that they all really loved her for putting the effort in to help them, because that's what they really needed right then and there. That right there shows that her presence mattered. So when you tell someone who identifies as an Enneagram Type 9 that their presence matters, that will mean the world to them. You know, I really liked making this video because me myself, I actually am a Type 9 Wing 1 like Fluttershy. So writing the script up and recording it has been a bit reflective for me too. I sometimes think back for myself about my shy moments and my times of being afraid to assert myself, how it's held me back in life. Yeah. And when I see it through the lens of someone else like Fluttershy, it makes a lot of sense. When I read about the Enneagram, especially the 9 and 9 Wing 1, it makes a lot of sense. I've had many of those moments in life where I was afraid to tell my parents, for example, hey, I'm going to go to a coffee shop to work there, or hey, I'm going to go bowling tonight. Hey, I'm going to stream tonight. And because I'm all grown up now, usually they won't mind, but I just felt so afraid to tell them that for a long time. And sometimes, aside from just the whole asserting myself bit, the whole thing about being shy has been a challenge for me growing up. And whenever I can record a video and just be my authentic self like this in front of y'all, that really means a lot. Me being attentive to y'all, because for y'all to watch this video all the way through and comment especially gives me that message that my presence matters to y'all. And that message that I've been longing to hear has meant the world to me. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all for watching my videos all the way through and leaving a comment or a like or however much you do to contribute to the channel. It means a lot, and even just to interact with me on Discord or wherever else. And hopefully maybe I can see you in real life one day and you can actually see my real face by then. But until then, it's always awesome to hang out with y'all at the end of the day, because like I said, it shows me that my presence matters to each and every one of y'all. And on that uplifting note, thank you for watching, and as always, we are eternal for life. So one thing I wanted to say in this video that I just couldn't figure out where to fit anywhere, that also shows why Fluttershy is a Type 9 and 9 Wing 1 if you want to go that far, is that she's very good at adapting her personality. If you look at the episode Fake It Till You Make It, she was able to put on these different personas in order to talk to the customer more easily. And that's actually something that Type 9s are really good at. They generally are very good at replicating a different personality instead of, you could say, their own. But yeah, just a little tidbit I thought I'd add toward the end here because I really don't know where to put this in the video. So hey, you got a bonus. Awesome. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and as always, we are eternal for life.